Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today, I am feeling completely all over the place. I have had quite a morning. In case you weren't aware, I've been sick for the past 4 months. I had COVID 4 months ago, and I have not stopped coughing since. I've gone to the doctor a bunch of times. I went to the hospital to get a chest x-ray. I've tried literally everything. Cough will not go away. Yesterday, I just got sick again. I went to bed feeling absolutely terrible. Didn't sleep at all because I had a fever. Woke up feeling absolutely god-awful, so I am not at my best. But you know what? I put on a face of makeup because you know what's happening tomorrow? I'm going back to New Zealand. I have a 30-something hour flight tomorrow. Or, well, two, 12, 13-hour flights with a 6-hour stop in the middle. And I am sick. But you know what counteracted that? Concert tickets. Hotter Minhyuk from B2B, he's coming to Europe. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that was going to happen. I thought that I was going to have to go to Korea to see him. But apparently not. He's coming here. And so naturally, I bought tickets to 5 shows. So that's counteracted a little bit of the fact that I feel both very physically ill and also incredibly anxious. So I'm in a weird spot today. That's my fun little life update that absolutely nobody asked for, but I'm putting it here just to say that I'm gonna be a bit all over the place for the next little while, right? Like, I've got a lot going on, physically, mentally, etc. Ideally, I would not be filming today and I would be looking after myself, but I can't afford to take a break. So, if you would like to help me in being able to take a day off when I am sick, please don't forget to hit subscribe. Please don't forget to leave a like, comment, join my Patreon at patreon.com/savvycat if you can. I'm currently running 25% off any tier until the end of the year if you use the code KIWIMUSIC, QIWI music, all caps. I am also trying to hit 500k subscribers by the end of the year. I have about 10k to go and about 3 weeks left of the year. So it's gonna be a really hard push, but I would really, really appreciate if you did help me reach that goal. I would absolutely love to be able to do that. So yeah, please hit subscribe to help enable me to take sick days and also reach a goal that I have been aiming for all year. Editing Kiwi to pop in here and say, because of everything I just mentioned, I went wildly off topic in this video and ended up going on some separate rants that I did not intend to go on. And because of that, I really do need to put a big trigger warning here for abuse and sexual assault. So if that is going to be triggering for you, please do click off this video and I will see you in the next one. So yeah, okay. Now that we've had my rambling, let's get into the video. Let's talk about what we need to talk about. And what we need to talk about today is men. Unfortunately, they're always doing and saying things that we really need to talk about. And this is something that we're all aware of. This is something that has been a joke for a very long time. It is something we see all the time, and it is how men act with their friends versus how men act with their girlfriends. And this trope, this idea, is one of the most frustrating and upsetting things ever. The way that men truly do switch up between who they are, how they speak, and how they act with their girlfriends versus their friends it's disgusting, right? A lot of the time, it's just genuinely really, really gross. And I was not anticipating or intending to make this video, but then I came across this one TikTok that I cannot explain to you the way this TikTok made me feel. It gave me such high levels of so many emotions, rage, frustration, upset, full body cringe, everything. I just sat there and was I both want to disappear into my own skin and also I want to yell at someone. And so since I had to suffer and watch this, I of course have to inflict that on you, and now you have to watch this and suffer with me. POV, how guys act with their friends versus their girlfriend.
Man, I tell my bitch to sit down, she sit down, I put her on a fucking leash, cause that's how the fuck I do it, you know?
Little baby!
Me!
I hate it. And this is, You know, you get what I mean, right? By like just being deeply upsetting and uncomfortable and also completely infuriating. And we need to have a conversation about this, but I first would love to show you that this is like a trend. This specific TikTok, there are so many of them and they get hundreds of thousands of likes. And this is unfortunately probably the least bad one. So I just, to hammer this home, I need to show you a couple others. So I apologize, but at least now you feel somewhat prepared.
I tell her I'm hungry, you know damn straight she's making me a meal.
Yeah.
That's how it is, bro.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I said, girl, you think you're stepping outside wearing that? Hell no, not on my watch. Who do you think's wearing the pants in this relationship? Get me right type shit, right?
Let her know.
Got me twisted. You know what I told her? I said, you can have your girls' night when I can have my boys' night.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And you already know we're bringing out the dogs. And she wants to do date night on Sundays. Bro, that's football Sunday with the boys. Come on now, what do you think you're doing? Messing up my schedule type shit. She don't get it.
Pookie, are we hungry? Are our stomachs so hungry and growling? Can we do cuddles? Pookie, I need uppies. I need cuddles. Right now.
Wee! Woo!
I literally got her on a leash. Like, she does everything that I say. Like, I don't give a fuck what she says.
Mommy!
She does whatever I fucking say. My words are her law.
Cool down!
My wish is her command.
Cool down! No, I'm tired.
I'm so sorry for putting you through that, but I had to watch it, so you had to watch it because there are so many layers of misogyny to this that I don't even know where to begin. It's one of those like multi-layered things where it's like the cause and they're all caused by each other, and it's like where do you start? Because let's try. Okay, for starters, these men just being straight up like misogynistic as fuck with their friends, just like straight up being like, I don't respect my girlfriend. I don't respect my girlfriend. Fuck women. Am I right, boys? I fucking hate my girlfriend. Give me praise. Give me love. I abuse my girlfriend. Thank you for loving me. And then going to their girlfriends and like acting like a child, like treating their partners as a mother. The fucked upness of that is again multi-layered in the way that like their girlfriends are participating in this because they think it's funny, which we'll get into in a moment, but it's like a fascinating thing of like they're doing it in that like way of it's like a I hate my wife humor, right? They're doing it in this way of being like, I act like I'm in charge, but really my girlfriend is the one in charge, and I just can't let my friends know that my girlfriend is actually the one in charge. But like, she's not in charge. She's not like the boss of the relationship. She's your like mother, which I guess comes with a sense of authority. But not in the way it should be in a relationship, right? Like, I understand that there are kinks that are like this, right? And I'm not kink shaming, but this is not what that is. We all know and can see this is not a kink thing. This is straight up just a misogyny thing. This is just a straight up, like, the only reason I have a girlfriend is because I want someone to take care of me kind of thing. I don't want to cook, I don't want to clean, I don't want to do anything. I just want someone to look after me and cuddle me. But then when I'm with my friends, I'm going to tell them how much I fucking hate her and disrespect women. And this is meant to be funny. And there are women in the replies like, lol, showed this to my man and was like, so true. we're never fucking getting out of the patriarchy. Like, it's just so frustrating and so upsetting. And the fact that these women are participating in this, because again, they feel like they're like, yeah, he knows who's really in charge. That's not what he's saying. That's not what this is. This is you being taken advantage of. Absolutely. If your boyfriend is going to his friends and like laughing about disrespecting you, he doesn't respect you. And even if you're like, well, he's only doing that for his friends. Like, how he is with me is how he really feels. How he is with them isn't who he really is. I don't care, actually. That doesn't fucking matter. His friends are all misogynistic assholes, and he just plays into that. So therefore, he is also a misogynistic asshole, and you deserve so much better than that. It's just like so normalized and so common and so joked about. Like, this is something that you see in the media constantly. Obviously, there's so many TikToks. It's in TV shows, including like kids shows. Like, this happened in like Disney shows that we grew up with, right? Like, this is everywhere. And we are just like taught that this is normal. This is just boys being boys. This is just what men are like. You know, we can't expect any differently. This is just who they are. This is how they are. And so it means that so many women just like accept it because they don't think they're going to get any better than that, because they just think that this is what men are like. No. That's not how it should be. Like, okay, sure, there are a lot of men who are like this. I can't say that it's the majority, but I also am not saying it's the majority, right? Like, it is so many men that women kind of feel like, straight women, anyway, any women who are like dating men, feel like they have to accept that because that's all that there is, right? You either date a misogynistic man or you date no one. And we are taught so much to value like romantic relationships that people do just like put themselves in relationships where they are being mistreated because they think that it's better than not being in a relationship at all. Especially when it is something like this where it is so normalized and we are told that it's okay and it's fine as long as they aren't like hurting you directly or anything. And it's like, obviously it is hurting you directly because not being respected and being taken advantage of and like used is hurting you. And also, like, the only way these men are going to learn is if we stop accepting their bullshit. If you hear your boyfriend or your partner in general talking about how much he disrespects you, talking how much he disrespects women, like, you don't need that. The only way they are going to learn is if you call them out, and if they don't sort their shit out and change, they deserve to get left. You deserve so much better than that. And like, okay, sure, you may be single. You may struggle to find a man who is not a misogynist, because unfortunately, it's hard to find a man who is not a misogynist, or at the very least does not enable misogyny in his friends. But in those instances, it's really, really important to remember the value of non-romantic relationships. Platonic relationships are so, so important, and like, we do not value them as much as we should. We are told our whole lives that like romantic relationships are the be all end all. And if you are not in a romantic relationship, then you are like less valuable, that you are going to be less happy. But that's just untrue. Like, statistically, older, like middle-aged unmarried women are happier. Middle-aged unmarried men are less happy because, you know, they're not out here being able to take advantage of women and get them to look after them while going out and disrespecting them. Whereas the women are happier because they're not there being forced to look after a man-child, right? When looking at this, I saw like a few women kind of being like, I don't understand why there's not more women who are just like forever single, who just have like really good, close platonic friends, and then you can just like sleep with men, right? Like, have your sexual relationships with men and have like close bonds with your friends. And I feel like that's not a bad idea, right? Like, that is a very valid way to live. I feel like in general, we need to prioritize platonic relationships much more than we do. And we also need to get better at calling men out on their bullshit. And we also need to be learning more self-worth and like telling women they deserve better, because They do. They do. So many women are in like just settling in like relationships where they are not valued, but they think that that's what like love is, and that it makes me so sad. There's so many examples too, right, of like these instances where men are nice to you to your face, like they are nice to you and then they're just like assholes to everyone else. And so many women have this thing of being like, well, he was nice to me, so that means it's okay. Like, I'm special, like, he's nice to me, so I don't need to cut him off. Like, I'm not being harmed, so it's okay. And there are multiple things wrong with this. Firstly, as I said before, like, you're not special. I'm sorry. Like, okay, maybe he is nice to you. But I just feel as though that is a very selfish way to be existing, right? Like, if someone is nice to you, but like an asshole to everyone else, they are an asshole. And I don't know why you want to spend your time with an asshole. And even if he's like nice to your face, if he's disrespecting you to his friends, like, he doesn't respect you. He's not nice to you. He is just nice to your face so he can get things out of you. And maybe he is not disrespecting you to his friends, but he's disrespecting other women. Or like, he doesn't acknowledge when his friends disrespect other women. He doesn't respect you. He is using you. You are not special. He is manipulating you. And that is something that like really, really needs to be understood, because we are taught our whole lives, like through the media, through like adults that we grow up with, that like when a man is like mean to everyone, but he's nice to you, like, you're special, he likes you, and that's like a good thing. And we really need to unlearn that. And this comes up a lot in so many worse situations as well, of the like, oh, but he's a good guy, he never hurt me. Like, that comes up in so many horrible and problematic situations that go further than this gross misogynistic joke, right? And I was having a conversation about this with a friend recently. They learned that someone they had been close to for years, this man whom they had been close to for years, she found out that he had sexually assaulted someone. And so naturally, what she did was cut him off. She cut him out of her life. Like, there is absolutely no room for that. There's no excuse for that. It's like, I do not want to be involved in any way with someone who has done that to another person, with someone who thinks that that is okay. And it also means cutting off anyone who takes his side. It means any friends that were there that were like, oh, well, you know, he's a good guy otherwise, he just made one mistake, like, it's fine. Anyone who sides with him, defends him in any way, it also means cutting them off. That is the natural thing to do, right? That, to myself and to, I presume, everyone watching this, that is what we would do. Yeah? But there's so many people that don't, right? And you expect it from men. You expect men to take their side because a lot of the time they are also guilty. There's been like studies done with like men in university who have been asked like if they have like raped a woman or if they would rape a woman. And most of them say no until they don't use the word rape. Once you take that away and it's like you ask a man like, would you have sex with someone too drunk to not say no? They'll say yes. Like, you ask men if they will sexually assault someone without using the word sexually assault or rape, and a lot of them say yes. And so you get into these situations where these men have sexually assaulted someone and their friends and other men around them are people who either have done it or would do it. So they take their side because it means that they don't have to admit their own guilt, right? And you expect it. Unfortunately, it's not shocking when that happens. However, it is not just men who take the side of these abusers. It's not just men who side with their friends who have committed these crimes. There are women who do it as well. And this is something that I was having a conversation about. And I think that this is something that we don't talk about. I don't think I've heard very many conversations about this at all. And it's upsetting, but I think it really needs to be talked about. And so we're going to take this moment here to talk about women and women who take the sides of men who are abusers or who have like sexually assaulted people. I think a lot of the time, not all the time, it comes from a similar place for why the men do it, but on the opposite side. A lot of the time it comes down to women being victims. And we don't like to talk about it because it then makes the water really, really murky about this conversation and how to like feel and act. And I think that that's completely understandable. But I'm going to explain sort of what I mean about this as someone who has been a victim of long-term abuse and especially long-term sexual abuse, because it is something that I unfortunately do relate to in a way. And so I want to give this perspective. When you have been a victim, it is incredibly difficult to acknowledge the fact that you were a victim. If you have been sexually assaulted in any way, it is incredibly difficult to acknowledge and accept the fact that you have been sexually assaulted. That is an incredibly difficult thing to do, because once you acknowledge it, it means you have to feel it, right? It is so much easier to convince yourself that you wanted it than it is to accept the fact that you were violated. So like, for example, if you were to get blackout drunk and you were taken advantage of by a man, it is a lot easier to leave that situation and tell yourself you asked for it than it is to acknowledge the fact that you were raped. Like, it is so much easier to deal with if you spend so much time being like, I asked for it. It was my fault. I did that to myself. Like, it was obviously consent. I did something wrong. I deserved it. Like, all of that is horrible and it hurts because you were going through something that like is psychologically damaging. You were raped. You were taken advantage of. And so like, victim blaming yourself is obviously not the right thing to be doing. That's not actually like helping anything, but it is easier to do. It is a lot easier to blame yourself and convince yourself that it was asked for than it is to acknowledge the truth of what happened. And because of that, it then means when they see it happen to another woman, another girl, they don't want to acknowledge that they were raped because it means then they have to acknowledge that about themselves. So like, if they find out one of the men they are close to did that to even one of their friends, if they found out one of the men they're friends with did that to another woman, it is easier for a lot of these women who have also experienced that to be like, oh, she must have asked for it. No, she was asking for it. It's not his fault. He's not a bad guy. He wouldn't do anything, you know, without consent. Like, it is her fault. It wasn't rape. It wasn't sexual assault, because the minute that she acknowledges that he raped someone, she has to admit that she was raped, right? And that's awful. like, that is incredibly upsetting. And I am not in any way saying that this excuses taking the side of an abuser. That is not what I'm trying to say at all. I am just explaining where I think a lot of these women who side with these abusers are coming from. If you have been like sexually abused by a man and one of your like mutual female friends takes his side, like, this is potentially a reason for that, right? And in saying that, I am not in any way saying that means you have to forgive her. I am not in any way saying that you can't be mad, you can't be upset, you can't be frustrated. You absolutely have every right to be all of those things. And I think that you should be all of those things, because it's one of those things where it's like, it is a reason, but it's not an excuse, right? Like, taking the side of an abuser may be more comfortable for you, but it is ultimately harmful. It is like ultimately validating this behavior and allowing it to continue. It is inflicting harm on your friend that has been hurt. It is like allowing this behavior to keep happening, and it's like not making these men take accountability where it needs to be taken, right? I think that like in these situations, if your friend is coming to you or anyone is coming to you and saying like, you know, this happened to me and I feel this way and this is what that was, I know that it's hard to like confront and digest, but it is really important in those moments to actually like do that. You are being given a safe space with this person who is coming and confiding in you. You can have a conversation about that. It's really important to like allow yourself to feel that and to heal, because even though, you know, you're living in this comfortable space like of denial, it doesn't stop the fact that it like hurts, right? Because ultimately inside you, you know that it was wrong. You know that what she is saying is right. You know her saying like, our friend assaulted me, like as much as you do not want to believe and accept that, you know that it's true, and ignoring it doesn't make it not true. It just means you are going to hurt your friend, hurt yourself, and like enable other women to be hurt in the future as well. Sometimes you just have to feel the pain that you feel. And it is really, really important to do that. Editing Kiwi popping in here real quick because I think it is important to say that I am having this conversation in a very gendered way. And although it is most relevant in the way that I am talking about it, this does also apply to men being victims, and also women being victims of other women, and also men being victims of other men. So it's not as gendered as I am saying it, but it is a gendered conversation for my own personal experience, and I kind of let that shine through, especially because, you know, given the topic of how this video started. But I think it is important to note that this can happen to anyone by anyone, and I don't want any like male victims or victims of, you know, same-sex assault to feel invalidated. So that's important. Carrying on. And I wish it was easy enough for everyone to just be able to get therapy. Unfortunately, it is not that easy, but we all do deserve like a safe space to be able to like digest that and experience that. I am going to put real quick about that here. I know most of my audience are not Kiwis, but there are a handful of you. And I don't know how this works in other countries, but I do know how it works in New Zealand. But if you are a Kiwi and you experienced sexual assault or sexual abuse of any sort, then you have a right to get free, like ACC government funded therapy. You can apply for that at any age. It could be 30 years after you experienced that abuse and you are still eligible for getting this funded therapy. It is a traumatic process to apply for. Like it sucks. I think they're working on changing it to make it slightly less traumatic, but you have like 6 1-hour sessions where you have to like detail what happened, and during when you're doing those like 6 sessions where you are going over everything in detail, which is obviously incredibly difficult and traumatizing, you do get your therapy at the same time. Like they give you your like therapist whilst you're doing those. You have both of them, and then when it gets approved, you carry on with your therapist. You can go on a website and they have so many therapists that you can choose from as well. So I don't know how this works anywhere else. I know that there is NHS funded therapy in the UK, but I also know that it's like hard to get into. But yeah, that's like ongoing therapy. I had my sexual trauma therapist from when I was 18 until I moved to the UK just before I turned 20. So it's ongoing, and that is available to you. Just wanted to put that out there for you, because it can be hard to accept and acknowledge and digest these things. And I think if you have like a safe space like in therapy to do it, it's like really, really helpful. And not everyone can afford it, but there are funded options. And in the US, I'm sure, surely you can get some on your insurance, right? Like, can you get therapy on insurance in the US? Does it depend on your insurance policy? Does it depend on your state? Like any of that? I don't know how insurance works All I know is that it is very expensive, but I don't know what it covers for you or if that's like different for different things. But if you do know like how it works in like your country and state or whatever, please leave a comment because I am curious to know, because then I can pass the information on, and also people who are scrolling the comments can see that as well. Anyway, back to what I was saying. There is another unfortunate side to this as well, of like women being victims and allowing that to play into letting men get away with things. And I think that also comes down to the justice system. What I mean by that is, I mean like when in the few instances like rape cases go to trial and they get like voted on by a jury, where you have, you know, like the judges, the prosecutors, whatever, like so many people on the jury, you know, they're the same people who are out in these everyday situations. And you have like the men in the jury who are people who have either committed these crimes themselves or have stood by while their friends have, or like would, who are going to say that the, you know, offender is not guilty, because if they admit that the offender is guilty, it means they admit that they themselves are guilty. Then you have the same issue of like the women on the jury whom, you know, may have gone through the same thing that the victim standing up has gone through, and they're not ready to admit that to themselves. And so they are also going to say not guilty, because if they say guilty, they have to acknowledge that what they went through was like worthy of, you know, legal punishment. And that's a difficult thing to come to terms with. You know what I mean? Like, it's all just this really massive, big, fucked up mess of misogyny and trauma and fear and anxiety, and like being a victim is like really, really difficult and like so hard to come to terms with, and we just do not have enough support from anywhere. There is so little support, and there's so much like there's such a lack of education around like consent, and there's so much culture around like victim blaming, right? Like there's so much culture around like, this is just how men are. This is just what's going to happen. You are just going to be taken advantage of. Like there's so much culture around it that it makes sense that so many people side with abusers. And again, in saying that, it doesn't excuse the behavior. It doesn't make it okay. I do not think if you go to your friend and you confide in them about something that a mutual friend or something has done to you and they take his side, I do not think you should forgive them. I do not think you should like feel sorry for them. I do not think that, you know, it excuses that behavior at all. I think that they are doing a bad thing. They are harming you. They're being a bad friend. And like they don't deserve to be forgiven for that, right? Like I hope that they get the help that they need, and I hope that they are able to like come to terms with the way that they are treated and the fact that they themselves are a victim, but it doesn't excuse their behavior, right? I just think that it's an important, like, an interesting perspective to take, because I feel like we don't really talk about it very much, and we don't really look at it very much. Like when I was having this conversation, when I've had this conversation with people, it kind of, I think like clicks with a lot of people of being like, oh, well, yeah, they have gone through this and they've never really like acknowledged it before. And it's sad. It is just genuinely like, it's just really, really sad how people find themselves in these situations, because it's easier to be in these situations than it is to admit that you are, you know? Like even looking back to the TikToks we watched at the start, right? Of the like, you know, these men being incredibly misogynistic to their friends, and then like making jokes about how their girlfriends, like all they do for them is like cook and clean, and like they're submissive when it comes to their girlfriends, in the specific way of like their girlfriends playing the role of like caregiver, like the woman role. And it's really, really easy for me to sit here and be like, girl, leave, get out, run as fast as you can, because they should. That is what these women should be doing. These women absolutely should be like getting up and running for the fucking hills as fast as they can. And I say that a lot, right? I spend a lot of time sitting here and like looking at these things these men are saying and doing, and I'm like, girl, run. And I mean it. But I also recognize that it is not that easy, right? As someone who has been in that situation, it is not that easy. It never is that easy. My ex was a terrible person. He was a terrible person, right? Like I didn't agree with a single one of the views that he held. Like he was like misogynistic, he was homophobic, he was horrible. But I was on the end of that, right? Like, it's like saying leave someone who's misogynistic. Yes, absolutely. But we also know that when you are being abused, it is really difficult to get out. You are like trapped, right? Like, I was on the end of that misogyny. I was on the end of that homophobia. I was on the end of the sexual abuse. Like, so like, I understand that it is like really easy to feel like this is just what a relationship is. And it's really easy to be manipulated into just believing that like this is what a relationship is. This is like what men are, right? I spent over 2 years being told by this guy that I wasn't gonna find any better, that like he was a good man, that like, well, boy, at the time, I guess we were teenagers, but like being told that, you know, like he's better than everyone else because other men would hit me, because other men would be so much worse, that like what he was giving me was better than I would find anywhere else in any other relationship. And like, you get told that enough times that you do believe it, right? Especially when they have shitty friends, especially when the like other men you are spending time around are like their friends who, you know, come across as bad as, if not like worse than them. So it's very easy to believe that, right? So it is really difficult to leave, especially when they are giving you any sort of illusion of power, like in these TikToks, with them being like, oh, see, it's all a game. I really do love you. You do have power in the relationship. Look how much I like care about you and how soft I am with you. And so it's really easy to like feel loved and valued, especially when you see that like they don't care about other people like that, right? So you feel extra valued, even though they're like using you and taking advantage of you. They make you feel useful in a way and kind of like make you feel like that's what you're good for. And especially because we grow up in this like patriarchal society where we are told that our job is to be useful, right? Like we are raised to like look after men. Like, that is something that is expected of us. That is something that we are surrounded by a lot, right? That's like what we just expect to happen. But I think that like I really, really need to like hammer it into everyone's head, right? Women and like everyone, no matter your gender. It is so much better to be single than it is to be with someone who doesn't respect you. They can tell you you'll never find anyone better. Firstly, a lie. But even if it were true, even if you never found anyone to romantically involve yourself with ever again, that is better. It is so much better. Being single is so much better than being with someone like that. I promise you, having good friendships is so much better than having a bad relationship. Leaving people whom you've been told have hurt people, like, you will be okay. You will be okay, right? Like, even if you do not want to acknowledge what you have been through, cut them off. Like, leave them behind. Like, be with the people who are telling you they have been hurt. I know that it can be difficult to like acknowledge what that means, but like at the very least, listen to the fact that they are hurt. If you do not want to admit why that is your prerogative, but at least listen to the fact that people have been hurt and like they need your support. And if you cut them off and take the side of the person that hurt them, you are losing like good friends and like you are hurting them whilst enabling someone to hurt others, right? Like, either way, you have to pick someone. Why are you picking the person that did the hurting? Regardless of whether you want to acknowledge what that hurt was or not, like, that's just always going to be the wrong choice, right? one of your friends or anyone in your life comes to you and like opens up to you about someone else in your life having hurt them, please like listen, like hear them out. And you know, if your first instinct is to be defensive, whether that be because it's calling you out for an action that you may have done yourself, if that is the case, then you need to like reflect on that and have a conversation and like listen to why that is not okay and like come to terms with that. Like if you have committed an act that is like truly harming someone or has hurt someone, you have to feel the guilt that comes along with that, and you have to process that and grow from that guilt and like become a better person. And if you are feeling defensive because it is sounding familiar to something that you yourself have experienced, the solution isn't to like brush it off and like ignore it and, you know, like go defend that person to feel more comfortable, but instead like listen and have a conversation and like learn and grow and like work through this together and actually like allow yourself to heal. It will hurt, like it will be really difficult and it will hurt like a lot, but ultimately in the long run it is going to hurt a lot less, right? Because you will be around people who actually love and respect you and not around people who like are taking advantage of you and like actively harming you and other people. Yeah, like hurting and not acknowledging hurting forever is so much worse than like hurting and allowing yourself to grow and heal and like being around love and learning how to love. There are so many wonderful things about life. There are so many things that you can be doing and can be achieving. There are so many relationships that you can be having, and like the lowest priority in your life should be pleasing a man. That's like the lowest priority. One of your top priorities though should be respecting yourself and looking after yourself, and not just respecting and looking after yourself, but like respecting and looking after those around you as well. And that includes like listening to people and believing people and like having open dialogue and conversations. Pleasing a man is not a priority ever, especially if you know that that man has like done bad things. Ignoring it doesn't make it not true. I feel like this video kind of really veered off the path of what it was meant to be, but I didn't realize I'm gonna cry. I'm in a fragile state because I go home tomorrow. There's a lot of triggers. There's a lot of triggers at home, a lot of trauma at home, and I didn't realize that it was like so heavy on my brain, but it's anxiety inducing. It's hard. I live on the other side of the world to my abuser, right? I don't have any like major triggers. There's not any places where I feel anxious. There's not any places that like trigger bad memories because everything is different. And when I get home, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I think that is affecting me more than I thought it would. So this maybe wasn't the right video topic for me today. I wrote a whole script for it and I went widely off because I got very carried away because clearly that's where my brain is today. So I'm gonna go do a little bit of self-care now. I hope that you took something away from this video. Maybe I'll come back and do another one of these where I don't veer off topic so much, but please look after each other. Listen to each other. Look after yourself. And like, know that you are worth so much more than what people tell you. I just wish I knew. I wish that I knew how valuable friendships are. I wish that I felt brave enough to acknowledge what I was going through earlier than I did. I wish that I was brave enough to listen to the people around me. And I wish that I'd listened, and I wish that I'd accepted the help that people were offering me. And it took me so long, and I lost so much of my life. I lost, like, my most formative years, and there's nothing I can do to get that back. And teenagers are so vulnerable to this sort of stuff, and I know I have a lot of younger people who watch my videos, and I just really want you to know that, like, you are worthy of love, and, like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm begging you to listen to people. If something seems wrong, it probably is. Don't keep brushing it aside. Don't keep saying that it's a one-off, because a one-off will happen again and again. And if they say they're gonna change and they don't change, and they keep apologizing and they keep promising they're gonna change, it's not going to happen. One time is enough. If you call them out for saying shit that isn't okay, and they apologize and they say they'll learn and change, and then they don't, that's it. They're not going to, and you need to leave before you get stuck there. And again, I want to emphasize that if there is someone in your life who is actively taking the side of someone who has hurt you, you have every right to cut them off. Like, they may be struggling, and that sucks, and I hope that they get help, but, like, as someone who was potentially that person, right, like, I wouldn't ask for people to stay on my side, because, like, I would have been actively hurting someone, right? And, like, you don't have to accept that or tolerate that. It's not the intention of what I was trying to say here at all. Look after yourself. Surround yourself by people who, like, genuinely love and care about you. Call people out. You know, offer your hand out to people who you think need it. But if they aren't willing to take your hand, if they aren't willing to accept your help, there is nothing you can do but, like, wait for them to be ready, right? Like, you can explain to someone who is, like, siding with these terrible people, like, why it is bad. You can tell them, like, why, like, you can ask them why they're defending them. You can have this conversation, and if they choose to still stay there, leave. It is not worth it, right? Like, yes, they may be a victim, but so are you, and, like, you are just as important. And, like, don't let yourself continue to be hurt just because, like, you know? Anyway, I'm gonna go have a herbal tea and sit for a little bit. But yeah, I hope you took something away from this, and anyway, maybe developed a different perspective, like a new understanding of something. Maybe you've learned something about yourself, about people around you, whatever. Take care of yourself. Don't tolerate bullshit. And you are worthy of love. It's really the main takeaway I want you to have. Yeah, so a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Polar Bee, Sienna, Alicia, Marielle, Bree, Bay the Trucker, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic Petey, Sushi Kawaii, Phil the Duck, Jessie, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, Alexis, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes,